We got an aux cord coming off of the sink faucet, for goodness sakes.
The heart of every home is the kitchen sink, and it's time to tackle ours. Outside of the large granite composite sink we're installing with the help of our Sinklifter 5000, we're putting in a super fancy touch-controlled faucet, a heavy-duty garbage disposal with an air switch to control it, and a mini water heater to make instant warm water for hand and dishwashing. Let's get to plumbing. And by plumbing, this is what I really mean.
Oh my gosh, why is there so much water? Oh shoot. Towels and gauge. Pray that I don't break this. I might have to just risk it for the biscuit right here. If I'm somehow able to flush this without a catastrophic spill, this could be groundbreaking. Just for a brief second anyway. Oh look, we have our electrician. He finally showed up. We have our beautiful quartz countertop installed now, and in this video, I'm taking this bare, rough-in cabinet to a fully functional sink, complete with an under-sink water heater, touch-activated faucet, built-in soap dispenser, heavy-duty garbage disposal with an air switch, and getting things set up to install our dishwasher. This is gonna be a fun one to film. I'm gonna be on the ground the entire time. The first thing to do in this cabinet is to make a little bit more sawdust. I need to drill some holes in that back right corner for our dishwasher. I've got an 1 3/4 hole saw here, and I'm gonna do 2 holes kind of stacked on top of each other, so like an hourglass shape. I checked our dishwasher hoses come up at kind of a steep angle from where they're sitting down basically at the floor level on the other side of this cabinet. So I felt like putting 2 holes on top of each other would give those hoses a little bit more leeway to like curve up and into the cabinet. We'll see if that works out in the dishwasher install. I'm gonna do that in a whole separate video just because it's a whole nother separate piece of work, and hopefully it goes according to plan. We're putting a custom panel on the front to match all of the cabinetry. Gotta be careful not to hurt these conduits. These have my circuits for the dishwasher disposal and under sink water heater in them. Just trying to get as down low as possible though. Of course this drill battery is dead as can be. Take 2. Finish it from the other side so it's not so jagged. Love these spider bits. The second one, I'm gonna land my pilot just right above the top of the first. Get as close to an oval as I can. And there's our oval. The last hole I need to drill in this sink base cabinet is way back in this other corner, and that is for this tubing right here. This is 3/8 outside diameter polyethylene tubing. It's actually for reverse osmosis water filtration systems. I'm actually not putting an RO system under our sink here, but rather in a cabinet next to our fridge where our water dispenser is. I'm gonna hook the RO system up to our fridge water dispenser. That is a future project, but I wanna plan for it here by getting our drain tube into this cabinet. I learned that RO systems actually end up wasting about 3 to 5 gallons of water for every 1 gallon of filtered water that you get, and all that drain water has got to go somewhere. So it's got to come back to a drain. Unfortunately, this is the nearest drain to that fridge. We got to go through a whole run of cabinets, go behind our stove and behind the fridge to get to our cabinet I want to mount this system in. So while I've got all this open and I don't have any other pipes to work around, I'm going to drill the hole and feed this tubing through, and I'm just going to store it in the back of the cabinet next to the fridge. Luckily, this is small tubing, so I only have to drill a 1/2 inch hole back here. And I've got a spice rack pull out right next to me, so I really got to get all the way to the back in order not to interfere with that spice rack pull out. That's not me going into that pull out. I really hope I didn't just go into the side of that. Well, that's as far as it comes out. I think I did go into the side of it. Oh, no, I didn't, because that piece is still back there. All right, I might have just avoided disaster there.
So funny enough, since I put this tube in, I've changed my mind for where I want to put the RO system, and this probably won't get used now unless that new location doesn't work out. But this was kind of entertaining watching how difficult this was, so figured might as well leave it in here.
Well, this was quite a doozy to get this hole in here. But as you can see, it is there. The problem was there was a back panel on that's this 3/4 inch plywood. It's not attached to the slide, right? It's just the back panel, and I had to drill lengthwise through this whole thing and somehow is able to get the two holes to meet up in the middle to get that pipe through. The things we do for RO filtered water. While I was at it, I did the remaining holes in all the adjacent cabinets. I put each one going this way a little bit higher than the last one, just so this thing has a little bit of a slope as it goes over there towards the fridge, and the RO system is going to be in the cabinet on the other side of the fridge. For now, I'm just going to keep the coil in the back of this cabinet till I'm ready. Starting from here, I guess now I can feed this guy all the way back to the sink. This is going to be fun. All right, here's the money shot. If we can get this through, it's going to be a miracle. Come on now. Oh, it's going to take some finagling. I'm going to straighten the end of this tubing out. Oh, come on. It's got to be right there. Oh, doesn't appear to be right there. I got to be getting almost all the way there. It goes in probably 6 inches. What in the world is it getting stuck on? I'm going to try to use the wire to guide it. Feed it over top of the wire. That thing does not want to come through there. Where are you at, dude? All right, now we're fishing this through like I would an electric wire. Got the tubing taped to this wire. Hopefully it doesn't pull off. Oh my gosh, this thing will not go through. I'm trying the other way. It's got to be something about what's going on back there. I cannot see it. Oh, there we go. Yep, that was it. So I guess I'm going back through the other way. Never ends. All right, team, we finally made it. There's the start. Going behind the stove here, through the corner cabbie, to the back, sloping down the whole way, and finally here we are. I just used some electrical cable clamps to temporarily hold it in place at each end and to permanently hold it in place in the backs of these cabinets. Like I mentioned, it does have a slight downward slope the whole way, but it's actually not really that necessary. I just want to do it for precaution. RO drains are pressurized by water pressure, so you don't really need to gravity drain, but I wanted to slope it towards the drain so that any excess water left in the tube would go out and into, in this case, it's our garbage disposal is where it's going to be draining into. So hopefully that was the hardest part. It took way longer than it should have, as per usual. Now we can actually start working inside the cabinet. The first thing I want to do is seal up around all these openings where my rough-ins come in. I never want a water leak to work its way down through here without me knowing. I want all the water to come straight out the front of the cabinet and drip on the floor where I'm going to step in it and know that something's leaking, rather than get down in there underneath the flooring, into the subfloor, and into the ceiling above the garage without me ever knowing about it. So I'm going to seal not only these, but also the edges of the cabinet where there's a little gap where the joinery was, nothing crazy. But I'm just going to put a bead of Lexel through all of that. Same thing with my electrical conduits over there, and that should make this base at least, somewhat watertight. I mean, it's wood, it's not perfect, but that'll send the water out this way, and there's really no lip at all, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So any substantial amount of water will definitely drip out the front. This is the same philosophy I took over here with the dishwasher. I put some scrap flooring there, caulked it with Lexel to the sides, and that made me a little waterproof tray of sorts that any leaks will come out the front rather than stay back there and seep underneath the flooring. While that Lexel dries, I'm going to turn my attention to this guy here, our undermount sink. This is a granite composite sink. The brand is Kraus, the Kraus Bellucci Italian-made sink. We've heard pretty good reviews about them. This was a few $100 on Wayfair is where we got it. I will say though, the first one came with a manufacturing defect that we wouldn't have known about until the countertop guys let us know, because we gave them the sink to do the template for the cutout. 2 of the 4 corners had a vertical crack in them. And apparently the countertop guy said this happens all the time with these granite composites. If they twist at all when they come out of the mold, the corners will crack. So we have an extra sink now with cracked corners, but we're good in sending out a new one. And now I'm gonna prepare it to be set in. This is kind of the main show that everything else is gonna revolve around after we put this in. But one thing we have to do is set this drain ring. So this actually came with our garbage disposal, We are using an Insinkerator garbage disposal, and it came with this kit that goes in the sinkhole, and this is what the garbage disposal attaches to underneath. So it's gotta be specific to the disposal. This gets sealed in here with nothing but a rope of plumber's putty. So this should be pretty easy. I figured it'd be easier to do it here outside the cabinet than inside. We'll see. 1/2-inch diameter is what the instructions call for on this guy. Big old rope of it. You know, I probably should try to make it continuous. Like using Play-Doh. About as expensive as Play-Doh too, $3 for this little container. I feel like this is gonna really squeeze out. I like to leave the words in a place that you can actually read them, not upside down or anything. In this case, with the corner drain, I'm gonna angle the words kind of towards the corner. Give that a good squeeze. Now on the back side, it's this fiber gasket, metal flange rather. This guy, now I have to get this snap ring up and over. This is gonna be the hardest part. I'm holding everything else. Okay, I got it. This is what should really squeeze that putty out once I start tightening these down.
Do we really trust $4 putty?
Squeezing out? Oh yeah, it's definitely squeezing out. It's like, how tight is tight? I don't know. Oh wow, I'm even seeing some plumber's putty come out on this side. That's when you know it's getting tighter. Holy smokes. Before we set the sink and totally block off access to the upper portion of the back of the cabinet, I want to deal with the soap dispenser, the faucet, and the air switch that are going to go in these 3 holes, get them all set so I don't have to touch them again, and also deal with the electrical situation down here so those wires are not in our way, and that is all done. While it's nice and bright and easy to film too. I'm going to get started on the power stuff. So I have 2 20-amp dedicated circuits coming up here, one for the undersink water heater and one that's going to be shared by the dishwasher and disposal. The plan is to put a receptacle connected to the dish disposal circuit right here, and then I'm going to continue this circuit on with some MC cable coming out the bottom of this, and that will come out to another junction box for the water heater. The reason I went out the bottom is so I can come down real low in the cabinet, and then I'm going to come up across, and I'll put the box right where this X is. The water heater is going to be mounted right about here, and I also wanted an extra outlet that I could easily plug something into. But the reason for that strange kind of route is because of the weight that's going to be dangling off of the faucet. It's going to come down right about around here. Oh look, we have our electrician. He finally showed up. That weight is what puts tension on the faucet. So when you pull that sprayer out, the weight travels up and down, and if there's anything running across here, like an electrical cable or a pipe or anything like that, it's likely to get caught, and then the sprayer will not retract fully. So I want to keep everything clear out of the back center of this cabinet, any pipes and wires. So I'm going to come down and way out of the way with the MC cable. So let's get those 2 things wired up real quick. Electrical is done except for mounting this box, because that is going to get in the way of us lifting the sink up past it. So just left the wires long there. Otherwise, I think it looks pretty darn nice. It'll be nice, clean installation when it's all done. Side note, this is why I like this Lexel so much. I'm gonna be fumbling with these pipes a good bit, and if you look really closely, this stuff just stretches like crazy, and it sticks to basically anything. I don't even think it's rated for polyethylene, but it is adhering just fine and does not get fatigued when I'm fumbling these pipes around. So it's a nice tight seal, really like that stuff. Before we set the sink and I block off all access to the back, I'm going to take care of the 3 fixtures we need to put behind the sink, which are A, our nice little built-in soap dispenser, B, the color matched air switch for the garbage disposal, and C, the grand finale, our faucet, of course, which is the centerpiece of this whole thing. This is a Delta Touch2O is what it's called. It's got a touch sensor in it, so it's a touch faucet. This thing pulls out to be the sprayer in the sink, and it's a pretty fancy thing. In fact, all 3 of these things are
way overpriced, just insanely expensive for what they are. We were a little creative in these though. I got these all on eBay as open box specials, so I want to say it took a couple $100 off. The sink faucet here, the soap dispenser, and the air switch were both substantially cheaper as well. The sink is definitely going to be the most complicated thing to put in. This thing has a battery pack with it, all kinds of extra wiring and stuff to make the touch capability go. So that will be a little bit of a challenge, I think. We're gonna start with the easy thing, the soap dispenser. This should just screw right in. Same thing with the air switch.
It's got a gasket up on top. So I think the rubber washer actually goes up under the bottom. Got this nice little trim piece that screws on up here. Soap bottle screws up underneath. The nice thing about this too is you do not need to remove the soap bottle every time you need to refill it. This neck just goes straight down into it, so all you gotta do is pull up the handle itself. Here's the pump action. Pull this up, refill, and boom, you're done. You can refill it from the top, which was something I was worried about when I got this, but thankfully it should be pretty easy. These air switches are pretty neat. All it is just a little air plunger, just like I used to play with in my Lego crane kits, that sends a signal down to an outlet switch and gives you the okay that the garbage disposal can turn on. And then another pulse turns it off. It's kind of cool. Very simple, but effective. No electricity needed. If you put your thumb over the end, you can hear it. It's not much, but it's just enough. Here's what plugs into the outlet, and they give you this little top flange with a screw on it so that it matches up there, and I guess you can, permanently put a screw in there so that no one just pulls this out and then your disposal doesn't work anymore. The problem with this though is my dishwasher cords also got to go here, and it kind of comes off to the side. They were good about not just letting it go straight down like a 90-degree plug, but I've checked and this flange is definitely going to interfere, so I'm actually going to have to trim this black thing off with some tin snips or something before we install this fully. Seriously, have you ever seen a sink faucet with this much stuff coming off the bottom of it? We got an aux cord coming off of the sink faucet, for goodness sakes. There's literally an LED light on this thing, which I just discovered. This is actually kind of a cool feature. It changes from blue to red as the temperature of the water changes, which I think is pretty darn cool. I'm understanding now why this thing was several $100s. I think they've actually gone up in price since we bought this thing. We paid like 400 something, like maybe a little less than 400 for it. I think they're like 700 now. If you get one brand new, which is just insane to me. That little LED faces forward, so I'm gonna make sure that is facing correctly. Because it's a touch faucet, they say to be very careful to make sure that the metal of the faucet is not touching the countertop, because it will give you false readings. Fancy brass nut goes on this guy. Without a doubt, the fanciest plumbing fixture I've ever installed, for sure. I hope we like it. The reviews were hit or miss, to be honest. And they give you this fancy little plastic wrench that goes up and over the tube, which would be very necessary because that nut is not in an easy spot to get to. And this is what's used to do the final tighten. I can't imagine doing this with the sink installed. Do not want to lose this wrench, otherwise this faucet's never coming off. Once that sink's here, there's just going to be a wall straight down in front of this. These little set screws are the final straw for tightening. Really locks it in place. That's it for the faucet until I do the final connections after the sink is installed. This is the last guy I want to put in here. Just a piece of plastic bracket that came with the dishwasher. This is a clip for the drain hose. The drain for the dishwasher has to be in a high loop to function as basically an air gap. So this clip is just an easy way to hold it to the top of the cabinet wall. There's also a little clip for the water line on here as well. But I'm just going to go ahead and screw it up here with some 1/2-inch screws. We're now ready for the main event, which is the sink install. It's what everything else revolves around in this cabinet. And I have created a piece of patented technology to make this a lot easier. Introducing the Sink Holder 5000. This took a few minutes and some scrap lumber, and hopefully will be the key to holding the sink up while we can get a bead of Lexel on it before we push it up the final way. And I'll be using these guys to do the final push. These are hand jacks, which I only learned about a couple years ago probably, and they're just really handy. You can get them underneath anything. It's like a 1/8 of an inch thick, and you just crank them up like any normal quick clamp. The goal is gonna be to get the sink in there. Either me or Elena will lift it up from the top, get our stand underneath of it and set it on there temporarily. Put the bead of Lexel around the perimeter and then use the hand jacks to lift that final inch or so. And hopefully we can get it nice and centered with the reveal even all the way around the sink. It's not light, but it's not the heaviest thing in the world. It's not cast iron or anything. Probably should have put tape on the edges of the cabinets. This side goes to the left. This side's a little bit longer because it's sloped. Yeah, it's if I can get it up high enough. All right, how's that looking?
Extra piece goes on the...
Don't push up too hard because it'll crush my fingers. But on this side, I can pick it up from this drain flange.
Okay.
The left side I don't have right now, so that's all you.
Got it.
Now you go.
How far? It's under it.
All right, that pretty much worked as I thought it would. Probably should start where it's toughest. Probably should start going this way. This is gonna be so hard.
What's wrong?
I already got some where it shouldn't be. All right, if you want to just try to slowly.
Do one at a time?
A little bit, both, maybe. You can do like little micro cranks. You don't need to like do it fully.
Okay, you want me to keep going?
Yep. Go a little bit more on the right side. You're a 1/4 inch from contacting on the left side.
Good.
Keep going the right side a little bit more. All right, now just hold up. This is my chance to really position it. I think that's about as good as it's gonna get.
Both at the same time.
Just, yep, real slow. There's definitely
I feel like I'm in
contact. Yeah, it looks like you're good.
So no more?
Yeah, I think you're probably all right. And then we can do the rest with the,
Yeah, I think you're in contact. Oh God, that's a lot of squeeze out.
That's not a lot of squeeze out, we're good. I don't think I want to mess with the squeeze out, to be honest. I think I'd rather let it dry and then pick it off. All right, I'm being extra careful to make sure my reveals are exactly even as I'm tightening all these clips now, which are just little wing nuts done by hand. Ugh. The countertop guys put these threaded inserts into the quartz, and that allows this little screw to be put in, which gives real strength to the sink, which then allows these clips to be put on. And the clips are really what holds the sink up. The Lexel will be a good glue and a good sealant, but the mechanical strength is by these clips. So this is what Lena's worried about, the squeeze out here. I did not want to try to clean this up with mineral spirits, which is what you usually do for Lexel, because I have not tested it on this granite composite. I did not want to risk staining the sink with mineral spirits. So what I'm gonna do is just let this bead dry and then come back tomorrow and mechanically remove it, just scrape it either with my fingernail or just do a really, really light score to separate that bead. And so we get a nice, clean, even cut. We'll see how that works. Hopefully it's good. The Sink Supporter 5000 did a fantastic job. That would have been really hard without this little contraption. The hand jacks worked perfectly in getting that nice and snug up before we were able to get the clips installed. And I could, kind of shift it around and get everything working just right. I did have to do some makeshift shimming here with a donut of tape and a shim to push the sink this way a little bit. It kept wanting to lean this way, so probably just the way that this thing is set up. Otherwise, it was just this guy doing all the heavy lifting, so that was really convenient. Would definitely do that again for a sink this big.
While the sealant dried, I finished wiring up this dedicated outlet for the undersink water heater. That way I could flip on the breakers for both this circuit and the disposal.
24 hours later, everything is nice and dry. Took the sink holder 5000 jig out from underneath and the sink did not fall out. So that is good news. Now I just have to deal with this bead of squeeze out of Lexel that came out from around the sink. Didn't want to touch it before it dried. I didn't want to smear anything around. So now I'm going to remove it mechanically with just a little scraper. I have a very strict inspector, so if this doesn't look good, then I'm in major trouble. So I'm using a little secret weapon here. I'm not using a utility knife to scrape this out at the risk of scratching the sink or the countertop. This is a feeler gauge, just a set of fine metal fingers, and I'm using a real thin one, 3/1000 of an inch thick, to sort of score along the edge of the Lexel, both on the side and the bottom, and then it should peel off pretty easily. I've done a little bit of test run on the one edge here at the back, and it seemed to come off okay. So now we just have to do the big bead, which is along the back here. These gauges do have a little bit of a point at the rounded edge, and that's what I'm kind of using to get behind the sealant and just break the contact with that quartz. Same thing from the bottom, just being real careful that I don't scratch the sink. but it seems to loosen right up, doesn't leave any residue behind or anything. Once I can get a hold on a little piece of it, pretty much all comes off in one piece. All right, we are all cleaned up around the sink perimeter, and now to move on to this guy right here, garbage disposal. I went ahead and fired up these circuit breakers for my 2 dedicated circuits, tested them out with my handy dandy little voltage tester here, if these 2 indicate that it's wired correctly. And then my air switch, I did have to cut the top edge of this guy off, but that was pretty easy with a diagonal cutters. And then all I needed to do was plug my little air hose coming down from my air switch up top into the side of this guy, just a friction fit in there, and my air switch is functional. Take a listen. On, off, super simple. And with this guy wrapped up and testing correctly, we are ready to mount our water heater too, but I'm gonna do that last. Here's the garbage disposal we're using. It is kind of a beast. It's a 3/4 horsepower advanced series Insinkerator model. I actually got this on eBay as well because it was pretty cheap. I want to say it was like 150 bucks and totally brand new. I think it was an open box or something. And it came with the plug-in easy connect cord, so I can just plug this into that air switch. We do not need a garbage disposal this large. The reason I wanted this one is because it has all this nice sound insulation on it and these are really quiet. We compost pretty much all of our food scraps, eggshells, banana and orange peels, coffee grounds, anything organic that can decompose goes straight to the compost pile. So we don't really use this for actual garbage and waste disposal, which you don't want in your septic system anyway. It's got enough organic stuff in there to do its job. We just like having a garbage disposal because it makes cleaning the sink easier. All those little bits of food can just be washed down and cleaned out, and it makes for a nice simple cleanup process for this big sink that we have going in. So that's the main reason we even wanted a disposal, and they didn't have any tiny ones that had this nice sound deadening insulation on it. All the smaller ones are generally just louder and more cheaply made from what I can tell. So we're gonna put this guy in and see how it does. This ring free spins on here. This does not, but there are these little slide ramps that it definitely has to come up and over. This is a sealing component, so you definitely gotta get this right, else you're gonna have leaks here. Oh, you really gotta be pressing up hard to get this thing started. Goodness gracious. I'm gonna make sure this guy is pointing towards my drain outlet, where my P-trap's gonna be, which I think will be just fine. Dishwasher drain comes in here, which is good. So I think I'm good to rotate our little snap ring here to make the fully sealed connection. Gosh, that's tight. Yeah, this hook's got to get up and over this little divot in the ramp right there to lock it in. I might get some lubrication for that though. Little dab from the WD-40 pin. This thing's kind of a neat little product. That seems to be going easier. I'm going to use my trusty hand jacks to support this thing. There we go. We got her. Now if I plug this in quick, I should be able to test it just for a brief second anyway. Oh, okay, I think my switch is on. Let me switch off now. Okay, well there's my test. It works. Here's a quick one. Yeah, it's real quiet. Really quiet. And we're ready for drain plumbing. All right, I've been playing around with the rest of the plumbing under here. This is the plan that I've come up with after quite a bit of thought. I've temporarily attached the hose and the all-important weight that needs to stay free and clear of everything to our faucet, just so we can see where that lands. And then this is my P-trap. This is removable at all 3 joints by hand, which is a nice feature for cleaning things out in the future. And the drain connection should be pretty easy here. First step is to reduce our 2-inch stub out to 1.5 inches. I'll do that with this reducer. And then this sanitary tee comes on just like this. And the P-trap connects in just like that. The most important thing is we get this clocked correctly once it's glued in. I'll cut a little longer extension pipe for my air admittance valve. I think that's gotta be 4 inches above the trap at a minimum. Here's the plan for the supply plumbing. This guy is my dishwasher line. This is a 4-foot braided line that runs over here and out the side. I'm gonna do a straight supply stop, just a regular 1/4 turn 1/2-inch PEX barb supply stop on each one. This guy right here is actually a check valve for the faucet. It was supplied with the faucet and is required. I think it's so that there's always constant pressure on the solenoid so that the touch feature works as intended. On this one though, I am not going directly to the sink because I have to go to our under sink water heater. So I got this little 3/8 by 3/8 by 3/8 T. This fitting more or less just adds another 3/8 fitting to any existing supply stop. So this will go right on there. This branch T is gonna pick up my dishwasher, just like that, and the run side of the T is gonna go to the hot water heater. For that, I'm just using one of the braided lines that was supplied with the water heater, so our hot water is coming into the cold water input. It's got our little pressure relief valve also supplied with the heater, and then I purchased this. This is a 1/2-inch FIP by 3/8 compression angle stop valve. So this will allow me to cut off hot water just to the sink. And again, this is one of the check valves supplied with the sink. So this will go right to my sink. A couple points I wanted to mention about this under sink water heater. First, why are we using it in the first place? Our kitchen sink is literally on the total opposite corner of our utility room. And if you remember way back to our supply plumbing video, the red hot water line that we ran is just about 70 feet long of 1/2-inch PEX. I insulated it so that it can maintain as good a temperature as it possibly can, but it's not gonna be perfect. And that long run combined with having a tankless water heater that takes a few seconds to spool up and start putting out hot water means a really long wait time for hot water at this kitchen sink, which is arguably the most important one, whether you're washing your hands or washing dishes. So we wanted really immediate hot water. The easiest way to do this that I know of is one of these little point of use water heaters. You're not dealing with the circulation loop, which with a tankless water heater is not gonna work great anyway. It would be running constantly. And I don't think that even works well with a home run manifold anyway. You'd have to do something kind of funky. These things are really cheap. This was $100 on Amazon, and frankly, it's not gonna last very long. I know that. There were some more expensive options, but I wasn't really willing to pay 4 times the cost. So that's why I wanted to leave this with very easily undoable connections when I eventually have to go replace this. I've read in some reviews, these guys tend to leak as well. So I did place the mounting bracket already, and there will be a few inches below this that I'm gonna be putting a drip pan and maybe a water sensor as well. With all that said, let's get on with actually getting this stuff hooked up. I will be using one of these van hangers to secure this to the back of the cabinet. Set this off in a roughly appropriate location for that. Let's say there's, oh, got a little bit of water coming out of here. Got to bleed off the pressure. Luckily, I've sealed all sides of the cabinet, so none of this water can go anywhere. Really helps to have that home run manifold in situations like this. I just have both of these valves turned off down in the utility room. None of our other plumbing is affected. It's crazy how it just shoots that little beam of water out. Oh my gosh, come on. Feels like a lot of water. Holy crap. Why is there so much water? Oh my gosh, why is there so much water? Oh shoot. Oh my gosh, that was way more water than I was expecting. I need to get a towel. Holy crap. Okay, moral of this story, have plenty of towels on hand. Holy smokes. I am so glad that I sealed all the edges of this cabinet. There was literally 20 times more water in the hot than the cold. How is that possible? The Lexel around all the pipes saved the day on that one. Saved the day. Oh my gosh. Made a little spacer out of a hole saw donut to keep these things in the right spot, roughly. So that they're pretty much coming up straight out of the cabinet. Also made sure my screw isn't poking too far out the back. This is ran at a 1/2 inch. So it'll just go into the back of the cabinet. That should work. I gotta snake this guy around. You are able to shorten these hoses from the faucet, but I decided to keep them long just in case I need to pull it again and I don't want to disconnect all these. If I need to pull it to get out that window or something and just lay it down in the sink, I'll have a little extra slack. The drain is officially connected, so that should be good. The only thing left to do there is check for leaks. We are getting closer. This is going to hook up to here eventually. I'm not going to do it quite yet though, because I need to move this in order to get the dishwasher connected all the way back in that corner. This seemingly random wire here is not random at all, actually. It is a battery pack that does the touch faucet duties. So I wish it was plug-in. Maybe someday I'll change this out to some sort of AC to DC transformer so I never have to worry about replacing the batteries on this. But I'm gonna Velcro this thing up and like under the sink, probably like right here, so you can just reach up easily and replace the batteries. It says 6 AA should last about a year, but you can also do 6 C-size batteries, which they say last 3 years, so maybe it's not a big deal. But I'm liking how all this is looking, and most importantly, the goal of keeping this thing free so that the faucet doesn't get caught as this thing comes up and down is achieved. There's nothing back there for this thing to get caught on in its full range of travel. So that is perfect. I went ahead and hooked this 3/8 line to the T fitting in the back of the cabinet. I need to do a leak check on the dishwasher before putting it back in its opening. So I'm just hooking that up temporarily for now, and then we'll feed it back through the cabinet when I actually set the dishwasher. The details in the dishwasher, like I said, will be on a whole separate video that covers the panel and everything else, all the startup of that. But of course, inevitably, some of it's intertwined with this under cabinet plumbing. So I've got the dishwasher in, it's running a test cycle right now. And during the install, I found one leak. I did connect the sink here, and then I flushed this hot water line. It seemed fine, but once the dishwasher started running, this is dripping out this joint right here. And I was suspect of this because I could only turn this guy on one single time. The threads did not seem to want to jive between these two, which is weird because with the stainless hoses, it works great. This fitting's supposed to be the same 1/2" FIP fitting, and it barely wanted to go on there with a wrench. So I'm gonna have to investigate that a little bit more. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and flush the cold water line, which is back here. So I've disconnected everything at the faucet. Delta recommends flushing it with this guy right here. This is what otherwise would be going to the faucet, but they say flush it so nothing gets stuck in your aerator. However, that thing is way the heck back there. So here's my contraption, just some 1-inch Schedule 40 with an elbow on it. I'm gonna stick that underneath that outlet and then run that right over here into my 5-gallon bucket. If I'm somehow able to flush this without a catastrophic spill, this could be groundbreaking. I'm gonna go ahead and open the sink valve all the way cold. Now in theory, when I turn this cold water valve, I should get water up and out of my pipe right there. Hey, we got a little bit. Oh yeah, it's gonna work. I just can't go too crazy with it, otherwise it's gonna blast itself up out of here. When you first flush these PEX lines, they really smell like PEX. I think the polyethylene sort of leaches into the water for these. Oh, I spoke way too soon. Big air bubble hit and just blasted water all back there. Towels engage. Air bubbles get you every time. Just gotta go really, really slow. All right, I got probably a gallon out of there. Got, I think, all the air out. And now I am ready to finally mount this back up. So this gets connected right up there. I put this cable tie saddle right here. So I'm gonna put a zip tie around this to fasten this thing to the back wall so it's not just flopping around, because otherwise I think it does just hang. And then the hose with the weight on it that goes up to the faucet gets connected right to the bottom of that solenoid. And then we can use the faucet. Once I put this last battery in, that's the moment of truth. It's gonna turn on. We have light. Okay. There we go. It knows when I touch it. Cold is on. I should be able to open this valve up. It's yelling at me. Hey, we got water. Heck yes. It's gonna take me some getting used to with this touch outlet. I'm just gonna wanna grab this and open it every time. Wow, that is gonna be awesome. Because you can just swipe your hand against it, on, off, just leave the handle open all the time. That's beautiful. What's neat is that it knows the difference between a touch and a grab. Like if it has a time delay on there, like if you just touch it, it'll come on and off. But if you like grab it to go over here, it doesn't do anything. And even if it's a quick grab,
But if you just do that, then it will turn off. That is really cool.
Just gotta figure out this leak on this thing and we gonna be done. When I could only get this angle stop to spin one time, I had a gut feeling that this was not gonna be good. This is a good example of why you should always trust your gut. So the question is, do I try to tighten it one more or do I take it off and try something else? I'm talking, this thing is like tight. I'm afraid I'm gonna break the bung off this tank if I go a full another revolution. And that's pretty much what I gotta do in order to get this thing lined up. I might have to just risk it for the biscuit right here. Chinese manufacturing gods, please be with me on this one. I'm going for a full another revolution. There's nothing to put counter torque against this except just the tank. Pray that I don't break this. Ooh, man, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Every plumbing sense in the world tells me that that's gonna break if I try to get that over a full another revolution. I'll have to do something else. Use my drain contraption. Sound like a big old fart. That's literally how little that was on. Like, oh, and I even see a thread starting to go in there. Something is not happy between these two threads. See that thread that came off in there? Like I said, this hose spun on there the whole way. This guy, 1/4 turn. That's all I can get it by hand. So something is either going on with the threads in here or the threads on here, but I'm actually thinking it might be these threads. This was just a Home Depot fitting, brass craft, but they sell the same stuff on Supply House, so I didn't think it was that bad, but I'm gonna have to get my tap and die set out to figure out which one of these things is bad. I've messed around with some other fittings, and I think my conclusion is that the threads on this are machined a little bit too thick, like the ridges on the threads are too thick. This is a 1/2-inch plug, and when I look at them close together, first of all, this does look slightly larger diameter wise. I don't have my calipers here, but I bet this one, just feeling it, is a little bit wider. And then the peak of the threads is larger on this guy. So works no problem with these washing machine hoses that have a gasket in them, because they're big and you just need to compress that gasket. So it spins on just fine like that. And of course the adapter they provided fit just fine. But even this other 1/2-inch brass fitting, I can get it, so it's there, it started right there, 1/2 turn is all that'll go on. So that might seal, but I think I'm gonna have to run a die over this to get this to work well, unfortunately, which of course I don't have here either. So as the old saying goes, if it ain't one thing, it's another. All right, fast forward like a week of waiting on parts for this stupid thing. I think I have two solutions, a first attempt and then a backup. This is a different brand of angle turn valve. This was a brass craft and this is a bluefin. This was the Supply House version versus the Home Depot version, although Supply House also does sell brass craft. I'm gonna try this. It seems to spin on a little bit better when I just tested it out real quick. That might work, it might not. If it does not work, this is the emergency solution, which is a 3/8 by 3/8 union. And this will connect my faucet line to the hose that they provided, which definitely will work. It's the, the wash machine style hose. This is the much more Mickey Mouse way to do this, and so I really don't want to do this. It's like way too much line, and connecting two flexible lines together is just silly, but I'm working with what I got here. Something else I got on Amazon in the meantime, because I don't trust this heater for more than a year likely before it starts leaking, and that is a water sensor. I'm gonna put that down beneath this thing. I'll probably even put a drip tray below this because I'm almost positive based on the reviews it's gonna start leaking eventually. And that water sensor will give me a notification on my phone when this thing starts leaking. So hopefully I can catch it in time before it does any damage in the cabinet. Feel free to place your bets in the comments as to whether or not this is going to work. If I'm gonna place a bet, I'm gonna say $5, this is not going to seal still, but we will see. I'm gonna use just Teflon tape because I don't want the extra pipe dope that I would usually use to create a false sense of non-leakage. This should seal just fine with several wraps of Teflon tape, so we'll see what happens. It's getting tight, went for about a turn and a half, maybe 2 turns on it. This feels a lot better than the other brand though, so I don't want to get my hopes up, but we'll see what happens. Before I even hook this line up, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the hot water valve and see what happens. The other one didn't seem to leak at first either until I started running some water, when the dishwasher turned on, and then it was just seeping out right at this joint here. Let's hook it up, run some water, and see what happens. All right, let's give it a shot. Switch this to hot. Oh. Why is nothing coming out? It would definitely help if I turned the valve on. That's why nothing is coming out. I heard the water heater kick on, so it's only a matter of time before we get some hot water up here. I'm curious to see how long it actually takes, because it's like 70 foot of 1/2-inch PEX that's got to clear out of cold water, plus another 5 or 10 seconds for the boiler to actually sense the flow and start kicking out hot water. I should time it. I knew from the start it was going to be ridiculous, so that's why we put the dedicated circuit in for our hot water heater here, which should give us within, I would say, a second or two, hot water. Now, as this gets warmer, this LED should start changing color. It's a solid blue right now. You know, I actually just considered the fact that this is 2 gallons of cold water here, and our hot water is coming in here. Oh, you know what? That's exactly what it is. This line is nice and hot, but it's mixing with all this cold water in here, so it barely changes the temperature of the actual water coming out. But once we have this on, that'll work. So far, so good. I'm not seeing the dripping leak that we did see before. That's promising. It might have just been the brand of valve. Like, who would have guessed? This feels pretty warm, and this LED is still solid blue, so I'm wondering if this feature actually works for the temperature control. Well, I'll definitely keep this joint on monitor. Luckily, it's easy to access, and I'll have the water sensor as backup. But we're ready to plug this thing in, give it a shot. We have insulation, whatever that means. It's just telling you that the water heater needs to be filled. Definitely filled. Turn it on. All right, we have heating. Well, I got the water sensor set up. This is a little Wi-Fi gateway for it that I'll just leave plugged in here for now. It scared the dog half to death though. It's loud. But it works well. Sent me an email, said that something was leaking, so that'll be a good peace of mind. And we are finally in the home stretch here. I'm just gonna throw a little cable saddle here to keep this nice and tidy, and then we're ready to put the doors back on. These things are wonderful for cable management. Never knew about them until I did engineering. And that, my friends, is a completed under sink plumbing and electrical job. Tried to be as neat as I possibly could. Our sink weight is nice and free. Drain is nice and simple. Got the dishwasher running right now. I'm really proud of this, actually. This took a lot of time. In the meantime, got the battery pack hung. I just Velcroed it to the front of the sink here with a 2x4 Velcro patch. These are leftover cable hangers from a dash cam to secure that cord to the underside of the sink. Just keeps it up and out of the way nice and neatly. And that, folks, is a wrap on under sink plumbing and electrical. Hopefully you picked something up in this. I know I did. And hopefully it helps you with your under sink plumbing project. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.